Hello, and thank you for accepting my call. You are listening to the California Island podcast, recorded over a state prison telephone and available to you for free at pinsideout.org.
Hello, everyone. This is Jenny.
This is Shawn Khalifa, and you're listening to the California Island podcast. Jenny, what's up?
Hey, nothing much. I did want to talk to you about some certain things that have been coming up for you personally, but I did want to kind of just start off. Yeah. Yeah. So I did kind of want to start off in general, kind of like what I guess the legal system has been for you and your experience with that, but also talk about where you're at right now.
So I better start where I'm at right now because what the legal system has been like for me can take a whole year to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Right now I'm in a fortunate position where I'm entitled to be resentenced. So I'm just waiting on my Superior Court in Riverside County to accept my 1437 felony murder petition and resentence me on my underlying burglary offense so that I can receive time served and be released with potentially up to 3 years parole or no parole, depending on the judge's discretion, what they would like to do.
Okay. And right now, how's your attorney seeing that right now? Like in terms of, because I know each district has its own, I guess has its own history. Oh, okay.
I had an attorney for my habeas writ.
Okay, got it.
An attorney, and then I just fortunately won that, where the courts ruled I wasn't a major participant in underlying felony, thereby making me eligible for resentencing. So my attorney goes away at this point, but I did request an attorney when I filed my petition, so I hope to be appointed one within the next 60 days.
Got it. And did you hear how that went? The recent
habeas
Yeah.
petition?
Yeah,
I heard you were there and that you had first-hand experience of hearing what was going on in the dialogue. So I guess I'll ask you, how did the hearing go for you listening to oral arguments?
You know, it was really interesting because I went in there not exactly knowing how that process looks like. I mean, I've been to court before, but I mean, this is obviously a different component to that. And so going in there, I didn't know what to expect. So it was your attorney spoke first, and then I heard the other person speak, and, you know, they were going back and forth, like, were you a major participant, and what happened? And they were first trying to define what a major participant looked like. And then just the things that the other person was saying is like everything pointed to no, but it was like this person just trying to get something out of nothing. And so the judges were asking him questions, kind of just, well, like, how was he a major participant? What do you think? Well, what did he do? And then this person just couldn't answer. And so as it was going, I mean, so the answers that this person gave, I was just like, oh my gosh, really? Like, it was just ridiculous. And so I was like, if this doesn't go through, then I'm out. Like, I don't know. And so, yeah, exactly. And then I was just thinking about you, too, because I was like, you know, I'm here hearing all of this, but for you, you have no idea what's going on.
None whatsoever.
Yeah, and so I was just thinking, you know, how, like, that's so, I don't know, that's scary. It's scary to think that ultimately this person could completely, or that day could have completely derailed you into something else. And so just not knowing and just waiting in anticipation, I can only imagine how that felt for you.
So I would say that's a good point to talk about my experience in the justice system as a whole, because I exhausted my appeal process by the year of 2014. So I experienced going to the appellate court, hearing feedback from my oral arguments that were similar to what you described, where they didn't have much of a case and they were just saying things just to attempt to justify continuing to incarcerate me. And unfortunately then the judges didn't agree with us and they continued to incarcerate me.
Yeah.
That was my earlier
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It discourages people, even the people that know you or support you, such as attorneys. I had an attorney volunteer to represent me to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, and my loss really affected him. It seemed like it caused him depression, and he was just sad.
Yeah, and I can only imagine. Yeah, because I was only there that one day, and I was thinking, wow, if this doesn't go through, like that really does lose my faith in the justice system and like how we view it as being justice.
So the cool blessing is that that's happened in the past, and fortunately I was surrounded by strong enough people that encouraged me to not give up, and then we came to this point where we actually won. This was my first victory in a court, whether it's here, county, appellate, federal, anything. I've never
I can let you know, there were 3 of them that I think were completely in your favor. Like, I could tell that.
All 3 of them ruled.
Yeah, I could tell.
And I've read the decision, the opinion, and it was very articulate, and it made sense because most of the time in the legal system, and that's one of my problems with life without parole sentences, is that the difference between a guy with life without parole and a guy with 15 to life or 25 life is not huge. Sometimes they have the same commitment offense, or at the same time, one guy will have a more heinous crime committed and still go to board, while a guy with life without parole may have just been an accomplice to a felony and didn't even foresee a murder was going to occur. And they're still not eligible for parole 20, 30, 40 years into their incarceration.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, sometimes I even find myself thinking, well, what's the difference? I mean, if you compare cases, it seems like it was up to the person's discretion. They get to decide that, and that's giving a lot of power to someone.
As in my case, where the facts are on my side, and they can be construed to a person's liking or tailoring, because some of the facts are not very clear, or up in the air, because they're based on my co-defendant's testimony, who took a plea bargain to testify against me. So really it came down to the judge's discretion on which way they wanted to rule, because for years they agreed that I was a major participant, an act of reckless indifference, that I had a higher level of responsibility. They chose to tailor the evidence to their decision, and then finally now they're making a choice to tailor the evidence that I wasn't a major participant to this new decision to free me. So it's so crazy how, depending on how they choose to look at the evidence, depends on how they rule. And whatever motivated them to free me now is a blessing. I can't complain, but I see the problems with it, and how unfair it is. And another fact which is scary is that without the help of attorneys, I wouldn't be going home. I wouldn't be eligible for release now. Because if I didn't have an attorney, I would have never had a bank filed. I wouldn't have had people with the knowledge of the laws, the changes in the laws that could apply to me, affect me. And there's a lot of people in similar situations. In here today, there's guys with 3 strikes offenses that are nonviolent, but they don't have an attorney to take their case to a court to get them out of prison. Or there's guys denied by the parole board where there's no real justification. And under law, if they hold you past what you're liable for your commitment offense, they can't continue to deny you parole, but they continue to do it because guys don't have attorneys that represent them or fight for them.
Wow. And then you think about that, right? It's like who has access to attorneys, and how does that look like? And especially when law changes, like the 3 strikes rule, it's like, okay, well, the law has changed in that regard, so how are we going to genuinely have justice? You know?
Well, people with the money in our nation has always had the advantage as far as bailing out of jails because they've had the money, hiring attorneys that can do proper investigations because they've had the money, while people with lower incomes haven't been able to receive justice in the justice system.
Yeah.
So, fortunately for me, because I don't have money, people cared enough. So out of the kindness of Restore California's Heart, they shared my story, and they just came through and they saved me. They threw me a life vest. But this is community work. This is like what Kim Kardashian did when she paid attorneys to get these guys out of prison and investigate their cases.
Yeah.
So really,
that's
charitable
true.
donations is why I get to go home now, and that's not a fair justice system when the wealthy they can afford to get out of prison the same way wealthy could afford to do charity, while the lower income just relies on hope and prayer and charity to receive justice. No. And a lot of times it doesn't come through for us.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, people don't. I mean, there's so many people who are in prison that are just like.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So when you think about that, it's just some people. I mean, a lot of people just fall through the cracks because of that. The not being able to have that kind of support, community support. You know. I mean. Yeah, you're almost like the exception to the rule. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah,
and so I didn't always have this. There was a long period where we didn't have support, and it was just me and my mom fighting as a two-person team.
Exactly.
It's really been the driving force for exposing my story and helping me receive the support I did.
Okay, so where are you now? What are the next steps now that you were granted that?
So now that I am entitled to be resentenced under the Penal Code 1170D, I filed my 1437 petition in the Riverside County Superior Court. This week it should be filed. I mailed it out last week. So I'm waiting for a judge to review the petition, assign me an attorney, ask for a response from the district attorney, and have a hearing to determine whether I'm eligible for resentencing or not.
And how does that timeline look like right now? You know?
The timeline. So within 60 days, the district attorney will file a response.
Oh, okay.
And 30 days from that point, whatever attorney they assign to represent me will have 30 days to file the reply. Our argument for why I'm entitled to be resentenced.
Got it.
Then I believe 60 days after that, the judge can hold the actual resentencing hearing and make the decision as to whether I should be resentenced or not.
Mm-hmm.
And another hurdle we face is that the Superior Court in Riverside ruled 1170D unconstitutional. They said the legislator didn't have authority to vote it into law. They said only the voters could change the law in any way. So they're not reviewing 1437 petitions currently. They are completing the first process, the one where the district attorney replies and I get assigned an attorney. But district attorneys are filing a petition or a brief claiming that the law is unconstitutional, and judges in Riverside have agreed with them. So we're waiting on a higher court, such as the appellate court, to rule that it is constitutional. So they would have to apply the law. And then my official process can begin, and I can have my hearing for resentencing. But until then, I'll be waiting on a decision from the appellate court in somebody else's case that will affect me.
Wow. And then do you know of any progress with that or how that's looking right now in Riverside?
Yeah, there's cases out of San Diego and San Bernardino that have been briefed. There's a case in San Diego that's gone to oral arguments like you went to.
Uh-huh.
And this is in somebody else's case, and the ruling hopefully will come down in a month or two.
Oh, okay. So hopefully within the same time frame.
Yes.
Okay.
And the law is clearly constitutional. There's been some incredible arguments made saying that it's constitutional by our Attorney General in California. They support the change in law. They've asked the district attorneys to challenge the merits of each person's case, not challenge the constitutionality of the law, but they're not following the Attorney General's recommendations.
I wonder why. I mean, it sounds like it makes sense.
Well, they've developed a pattern of delaying justice and injustice for a long time, and those habits are hard to break. So while some district attorneys' offices are more progressive, some of them up north, the ones in Southern California haven't been so quick to progressively apply new laws and let people go home and do justice. Although I have to give San Diego County some credit, even though they're challenging the constitutionality of it too. They let a friend of mine go home from this yard that was in the building over. They showed his picture in my PBS story. He was the first person released under that law. He was a three-striker that deserved to go home. He was done with his time. So, I mean, they let him have his justice. But there's another situation with a guy from Riverside County who was supposed to get out under that same law. And when he went back, they tried to give him more time.
Wow.
So the Secretary of CDCR referred him for a reduced sentence because he's serving over 20 years in enhancement. He already has over 10 in, and he's a definition of somebody who's rehabilitated in programs. But when he arrived back in our local Riverside County Superior Court, they weren't feeling in such a justice-type mood. They were still on that super prosecutor stance that they like to take every once in a while. Not every once in a while. They do it pretty common.
Yeah. That also makes you think of, the reasoning behind that. And as we were talking about earlier, I feel like the system is in place to keep certain people, down and keep certain people imprisoned.
Maybe lack of education, because a lot of people's idea of prison, because a lot of these, unfortunately, I mean, not all district attorneys come from our communities. They didn't have the same experiences. Some people grew up sheltered, but they don't see us as them. We're not, for some reason, there's a cognitive distortion that we're not all the same, because humans are not another human's enemy. Cognitive distortions are the enemy, so thinking errors. It's not the person, it's the thinking errors. So if they could recognize that we're the same, we're family, we're all human, then it can begin to treat the human for those thinking errors and not demonize the person and want to destroy them.
No, and that's so true that we constantly do that, right? We do that with everything, where we try to put people into these boxes and other people and say, well, you're not me or I'm not you. And in doing so, we create this power dynamic that's imbalanced.
Yeah, and it's ingrained that you need to get justice, you need to retaliate by harming. You use fear, you use hate.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You use aggression. One of the beautiful things in the movements, there's a nonviolent social movement going on right now throughout our country called restorative justice. And one of the beautiful things about it, the backbone, is that it's focused on healing and love and compassion, which is clearly something that has been demonstrated to work. Like, an easy question you can ask yourself, or anybody can ask themselves, is, when was a time that somebody showed you love, and that love that they showed you made you feel guilty about something that you had did? And that first time you felt guilt and shame for something, because somebody responded to you with love.
Yeah. No,
imagine somebody lashing out in anger, and you respond with a hug.
Yeah.
That's more powerful than any violence.
Exactly. Acting in a violent way towards that isn't going to make anything better,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's unfortunate, right, because we see the lack of just care, I think, in our prison system, but it's also become really privatized, so it's about money at this point, too.
A financial incentive.
It makes it definitely challenging. And in doing so, we continue to take the humanity out of it,
Yeah. Because when you get into a job, you get into a rhythm of just using your own habits, and you justify a lot of your actions by putting food on the family of your, putting food on the table of your family. But that's the same excuse that Hitler's generals used and soldiers used. I was following orders, I had to get paid. It was a societal norm to incarcerate Jewish people, and it wasn't my decision to commit mass genocide. It was my boss's decision, and to live in society and to eat, I had to follow societal rules. So if you're saying that abusing justice is what pays you and what feeds your family, I don't think that's a good enough justification for that behavior, because a criminal could use that same justification to continue being a criminal. And what's crazy is most of us, the majority of us, don't. We actually utilize these groups. You give us an opportunity to prove to you that we're not bad people, and we take it every time. Just opportunities aren't always presented.
Yeah, no, that's true. And again, I think it's the humanity that we take out of people.
Yeah.
That continues to perpetuate that type of.
Yeah,
connection. Yeah, connection makes a difference in it. I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day too, in terms of just how to build connection within a community, and it's so easy to do that because we have more things in common than we don't.
Yeah.
And so I think just following on that, it could really change a lot of things. But it sounds so easy, and it is easy. It's just people aren't willing to do that or take that step.
Yeah. And we had 2 district attorneys visit our prison recently for our restorative justice fair. And they bonded with us just like anybody else.
Yeah.
It was incredible. We had a connection circle with a district attorney named Kamal Johnson Williams from San Diego County District Attorney Office. He held a connecting circle, and we all got in a giant circle, residents and the district attorney, and we answered questions like prompts that he passed around, such as, what is something somebody has done for you that made you feel valued? Or what is something somebody could say to you to make you feel valued? So we all answered those questions. And one of the later questions he asked was, what will you do today to honor those that you have lost, loved ones that you have lost?
Wow.
And one of the deepest things he did was he opened up. He got comfortable with us and shared with us that he was a victim of crime. He had 4 family members murdered and a best friend murdered before he became district attorney. And so that was like healing for him. He was healing with us, and we were sharing our stories with him.
That must have been really powerful, though. I mean, even to just have that opportunity again to build that connection, build that bond, and hopefully that saves. Hopefully that saves.
An opportunity. Because the system doesn't always allow those opportunities. Just imagine if they would have told us no when we asked to have the district attorneys. We wouldn't have got that experience.
Yeah, that's true. So
one of the most powerful things I heard recently. So, go ahead. You were going to share something.
Oh, no, go for it.
Okay. So, one of the most powerful things I heard recently was one guy said that before he was caught for his 3rd strike offense, he committed over 75 robberies that he never got caught for. So
you have 60 seconds remaining.
He said that's 75 victims of crime that he traumatized that need to be healed, that are unknown. So you're only addressing the crime that you were caught for. Those are the victims you're making amends to. But what about the people we haven't gotten caught for? And if you have over 700 people in our facility times 75, you have possibly over 50,000 victims that need to be healed. And if you don't give us the opportunity to meet with these district attorneys and heal ourselves so that we could heal in the community and our other victims, then you're continuing injustice.
Exactly. It's that trickle down, right? You don't get the opportunity to do that, to continue. Yeah,
well,
no, thank you. I appreciate that.
Being on the show today. It's amazing as always. I'll talk to you again next week. Be back next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Take care, Jenny.
Looking forward to it. All right, thank you.
Yeah, Bye.
Bye. Bye.